All right, guys. Sorry about that. Forgot to plug my mic in yesterday. I switched out the. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Forgot to plug my mic in. Okay, hold on. I hope my mic didn't reset. It doesn't quite sound as good. But what's up, chat? We are here today. Nasdaq is down a little bit this morning. Man, I got too much stuff going on. Nasdaq is down a little bit this morning after breaking 24,000 yesterday. Very strong day for most stuff yesterday. A lot of stuff pushed up. If you look at the SPY, SPY was green. Kind of a neutral setting this morning in pre-market. Let me know if the mic is good. I might need to switch the mode here. Hey, thank you, Sam. Let me know if it's good as it usually is. It looks like I might need to switch the mode. Again, I installed new RAM sticks on my PC yesterday. And so when I heard the echo, it sounded a little off. Let me check it again. Actually, no, it sounds fine. It sounds fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so today we have PPI inflation data, jobless claims, unemployment, and more. Now remember, CPI data for July showed headline inflation pretty solid at 2.7%. Core went up to 3.1%. So we got a little bit of divergent, signals there. One was lower, one was higher. Labor market is softening. Job growth has slowed according to the revisions to the non-farm payroll, labor report with unemployment. Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Besson is pushing for a 50 basis point cut next month. He argues that current policy is overly restrictive and that markets are ready for easing. Futures are skeptical, only around 0.1 to 1.4% probability of such a large cut, with most people expecting a 25 basis point move. Next week, we do have the Jackson Hole Symposium Conference with Jerome Powell, which is a very important report. It's where Powell will actually talk about economic stuff. And then today we got jobless claims. Yeah. Could be the gain being just a little bit too high. I could always turn it down if I need to, but I don't know. It sounded much better when I was like right here. No? So I think if I push this thing down here and speak like this, it might actually sound much better. Let me know if this is better. I don't know. It sounded much better when I was like right here. No? Yeah, so I'll probably just keep it like this. I think this is solid. Yeah, it should be an interesting day. We also have jobless claims unemployment expected at 229K. This is expected to show an uptick in unemployment claims week to week. Last time jobless claims showed up at 226. They're expecting it to pump all the way up to 229,000 today. And so we'll see if we come under or over that. We still got time, but yeah, a lot of stuff happening here that might influence things, to be honest. Let's do a poll here. Does PPI inflation show higher or lower than the 229K expected? Vote on the poll. Poll is now live. You can now vote on that. A little softer this morning. I might be able to turn the volume up. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I got the music going. There we go. All right, so yeah, Nvidia, what about 181s? United Health still pushing up big. Amazon, everything we bought has been pushing up. Amazon, The only thing that hasn't is Hims, and we did buy a little bit more yesterday at these big dips. So we're honestly pretty flat in Hims as well. Very green on everything we bought. Crocs, dude, did y'all see Crocs? So remember, we bought Crocs a few days, like 4 or 5 days ago. Look at Crocs, man. We bought Crocs down here at like our average price in Crocs is $76. Our average price in Crocs is right here. That 82s right now, doing really well. Very large percentage gain here. We bought United Health. Look at United Health. We bought most of these. I'll have to look at when I actually paid. When I actually bought these. Hold on, let me see if it'll show me. Trade history. Not gonna show me that. Oh, 1 day. 7 days. There it goes. Okay, so I bought Crocs around maybe it was longer than a week ago, was it? Yeah, it was longer than a week ago. Hold on, let me up even more. Try to see when I bought this. 7. Okay. I bought Crocs on the 7th. I bought Crocs almost exactly a week ago on Thursday. So here, where I bought Crocs right around 7th. Same thing with United Health. So I bought United Health right around here. And really nice rip. What's up, B? What doesn't make sense? Somebody said y'all are blank and blank. What makes no sense about the poll, Hanson? What's nonsensical about the poll? Explain it to us, sir. The Rusty, Michelle, Hanson, Beamer. One set, Randy, Mad, Cal, Charlie, Mad, Jay, BT, Pawn, Sam, Brian, Pirate, Disciplined, Aaron, Jay, None of Your Business, Ace, Squid, Simple, Mimi, FMX, Xavier. Gotta be the same Xavier, right? Oh wait, I'm stupid. You're right. I am dumb. You are actually right, Hanson. My apologies. I got jobless claims and PPI mixed up. You were actually correct. Here, this is better. I put the jobless claims expectation up instead of the PPI expected. PPI is expected at 0.2% today. So yeah, PPI expected at 0.2. There we go. All right, gold at 3,400 still. Again, AMD up to 185s. Nvidia sitting at 181.50s. Amazon up nicely to 225s here. Yeah, it's early, bro. All right, guys. So yeah, so some stuff going on. We got a lot of big breaking news in stocks as well. All right, so stock futures steady, pausing after a big rally earlier this week. Investors are waiting for jobless claims and PPI, which would confirm or push back rate cut odds. The market is pricing in currently, if we take a look at the CME watch tool, the market is pricing in currently, about 99.8% chance of a rate cut in September and 0.2% chance of a 50 basis point cut. So 25 is on the right. Yeah, we got 25 on the right here. The 25 basis point cut expectation, and then this one is a 50 basis point cut. So again, it's looking pretty likely that we're going to do 25, but if this data comes in low today and jobless claims shows up high, this might increase the odds of a 50. Again, if we get weak jobless claims unemployment today, meaning higher unemployment claims, more unemployment claims than expected, as well as we get price stability with PPI, this might push up the odds of a 50 basis point cut today. Or if we get the opposite of that, which is low jobless claims unemployment showing more job stability, as well as high inflation data today with PPI inflation, that might push this completely out, and then we might see odds of a pause in rates resurge back up. So that's kind of what we're looking at now. We'll see. That's rusty. When is rate cut? Well, I don't know. September probably. At this point it's 99.8% likely, but this is always subject to change. If you take a look at bond yields, I'm sure bond yields are going to be down leading into September's potential cut. Yeah, bond yields are down. They're at 4.2%. Yesterday they were at 4.225 or whatever it was. So they're down again this morning, which is understandable. I mean, yields are most likely falling down. The other question is, do we end quantitative tightening? Do we end QT next meeting? That is a pretty big question. As of mid-2025, the Fed is allowing around $40 billion in maturing treasuries and up to $35 billion in MBSs to roll off each month. This campaign so far has reduced the balance sheet from $9 trillion peak to around 6.6 to 6.9 trillion, about 2 trillion in shrinkage. Some analysts have expected QT to wrap up in early 2025. Yeah, I think they're going to balance it most likely. Like, they're not going to cut in QT. It's too dovish in their mind. But projections recently now point to a mid-2025 conclusion. They say reserves are still abundant, not yet ample or scarce. This gives the Fed room to continue without destabilizing short-term rates. And so, yeah, I don't think they're going to necessarily end it this next meeting. Look at the NASDAQ push up. Maybe there's some edge here. Look at 950 up here. So look at 950 up here. But yeah, yields are down. Rate cut odds for September are high. Stocks are kind of back and forth. Amazon, green. Nvidia, slightly red. Apple now green on the day as well. Let's see if we got any breaking news coming out here. All right, so the EU Commission spokesperson on U.S. tariffs says the European Union has received texts from the U.S. with their suggestion to get closer to finalization of the document. All right, so China amends regulations on the entry and exit administration of foreigners, according to CCTV. And the Indian foreign minister says that de-dollarization is not part of India's financial agenda. Yeah, I'm looking at any other news. John Deere had some earnings today. The France president came out and spoke earlier, about an hour ago. He said that the U.S. president told European leaders that all willing allies should be part of security guarantees. Where's oil at this morning? Starting to see some pops in microchips. Oil is spiking up a little bit relative to where it was yesterday. It's slightly green on the day as well, if that holds. Yeah, a lot of foreign policy news coming out today. And again, let's put a timer up. I don't think I have a timer up yet. Dude, this is like the second or third time this has happened. Like, I didn't even have to set the timer today. I turned the timer on and I just hit press. And it was exactly an hour and 5 minutes and 30 seconds away from when PPI and jobless claims drop at 8:30. And I didn't have to do anything. I just had to hit play. Very strange. They're not going to cut at Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole is a symposium, and so they're not going to cut. Yeah, they're not going to cut. They might. Yeah, they're not going to. Look, things are not bad nearly enough to justify an emergency cut. I mean, they're not necessarily good, but they're certainly not bad enough to cause an emergency cut. We also had some stock news that came out over the last day or two. Bullish crypto exchange, BLSH symbol, IPO'd. If you look at BLSH, it IPO'd. It is now. It didn't really do as well as some other stuff during their IPO. They IPO'd, they showed up a little late on this market, but they're at $77. Still up 84% on its debut day following a $1.1 billion IPO. Coherent is down 18 to 19%. DAOHR from 114s down to 92s. Beat earnings expectations, but cautious forward guidance and restructuring caused it to drop. Cisco released earnings, I think. Modest earnings beat, strong AI demand, network focused, and equipment. Still down a little bit. Their CEO, Chuck Robbins, emphasized that AI infrastructure's orders more than doubled its initial target, highlighting demand. Tesla talked about initiating robo-taxis in New York. Now it's up to 341s this morning. It's joining the race after Waymo's recent announcement. A couple other ones. Again, John Deere fell down after full year guidance trim. JD edged up slightly. Couple other ones, Paramount, Skydance. Yeah, I'm looking at Paramount. Paramount, Skydance ripped. This must be on the UFC news though, but I think that's the same company. Yes, I think this might be up on the UFC news. And the Nasdaq's still pushing up. There's 350 up there, or 950. We're going to watch that. We're still pretty close to 24K, and I think the market kind of wants 24K. We did a poll earlier this morning. 50% of people think higher than expected. 26% think lower. 25% think as expected. We need inflation and jobs generally lower for rate cuts. Correct. We need weak job market. Weaker job market means higher probability of cuts, because the reason they cut rates is to stimulate the economy and labor market. And so if we get weak data, it's going to say, hey, we need cuts are justified, essentially is what it's going to say. But inflation has to be stable. We can't have high inflation, high prices, because stimulating the economy and labor market might make that worse. So it poses more risks, if that makes sense. Hey, thank you, Anonymous. If PPI is lower, it increases the chance of cuts. Morning, everyone. This guy's the best when it comes. Hey, thank you, man. Stimulus checks will make it worse, too. What's up, Brad? What's up, Beach Bum? Yeah, we got a timer up. I'm just a little late on it. What is your PPI prediction? I really don't know what PPI is going to show. I'm good at predicting CPI. PPI is kind of a different thing. So I really don't know. I really don't know what PPI is going to show up as. Both employers and applicants are using AI. Yeah, well, AI is just powerful. Like, again, I used AI to help me install the RAM on my PC yesterday. And I kind of knew how to install RAM, but I got a different PC that I didn't know how to open. It's easy. And so AI basically helped me with it. And you can ask it anything and it knows. That's the crazy thing about AI. And so, of course, companies are going to use this because it's beneficial to their margins. It helps their margins. It makes it so that you don't need people as much. You don't need to hire a bunch of customer service reps talking people through this stuff. You don't need to, download all this different stuff. You can just use AI, and AI will teach you how to do a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's wrong, of course, but it's right a lot as well. Nvidia pushing up still, though. Look at Nvidia. I'm watching 950s. Let's see if this has any type of short-term reaction. Yeah, ARM. I wrote ARM up a lot after its IPO. I haven't had it. I sold it a couple months ago. I don't remember when I sold it, but it was a while back. But I wrote it up to the one something. It was like 130s, 140s or something like that. I can't remember exactly when. Oh, sorry guys. Jeffrey says rather than cut in September, the Fed should cut it. Yeah, but again, Jackson Hole is a symposium. It's an economic symposium. That's like saying, that's like saying a politician should meet with foreign leaders at the state fair. It's not gonna happen. No offense. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, like, again, Jackson Hole's just a symposium. He might talk about the economic state we're in right now, and that's why it's a big symposium where he talks about the economic state, but he's not gonna cut rates at the Jackson Hole symposium. That would be an emergency cut, and he's not gonna do that a month before we're supposed to cut rates. He's just gonna wait until it's the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna do an emergency cut at Jackson Hole symposium. Not that I think. Maybe I'll eat my words. I don't think I will, but maybe. Yeah, they don't want to induce panic. Like, they don't want everybody to freak out. And if they start cutting rates that early, especially when we're so close to September anyway, that's gonna make people freak out in their minds. I appreciate the donation though, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's all good. Again, it's kind of everything's so nuanced. But dude, I was just about to short this. Oh well. But yeah, no, I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you so much. But yeah, they're not cutting next week, Friday. Nvidia denies delaying pre-earnings. Of course. Yeah, we got PPI data today. Jobless claims is an important look too. I mean, so jobless claims isn't nothing today. Yeah. Yeah, Paul, I see you used It's Always Sunny. I love It's Always Sunny. My wife and I have been watching it. Funny. I might actually copy you, Pawn, if they're saying It's Always Sunny. Yeah, so NASDAQ, microchips are moving up here. We did reject here at 950. This is what I was watching here. Dude, I don't know why my monitor does this, dude. It just kind of freaked me out. My monitor just goes black. And then all of a sudden it pops back up, but weird. Buy a better monitor here, I think. Yeah, I think it's probably I have an ultra wide monitor. It's 49 inches. It's huge. It's got to be something related to this. Got to be something related. No, this is I'm using an NVIDIA graphics card. All right, guys, so we're still at that 850 level. We tapped it, we rejected it. Let's see if we can continue to push up here. Yeah, let's see if we push up now. We might. Let's see if we do it. We're up there. I don't think I'm even using an HDMI cable. It's all display ports. I kind of want to short this again, but I already missed the 950 rejection here. I should wait. Yeah, we're expected at 0.3% for core, 0.2% for regular. So we will see what that looks like, but yeah. All right, guys, so we did reject exactly at 950. I got a little FOMO now. I can't even lie. Builds confidence in my levels, but still. All right, guys, so again, Treasury Secretary Bassett said the next Fed chair will likely be announced in the fall of this year. The president said that he will name the new chairman early and that it is really down to 3 or 4 names, but Bassett has announced up to 11 candidates. The president may be able to appoint 2 new governors as well. CEA Chair Stephen Moran has been nominated by the president to replace Kugler until the term expires next year in January. This ensures that the president can appoint at least one more Fed governor before Powell's term ends in May 2026. His governor term runs until 2028, though. So, a Fed chair retires when the chair term ends, but Powell may choose to stay on to reinforce the Fed independence. If Powell retires, the president would appoint 2 new board members, both likely contenders for the Fed chair role, alongside with the current Fed members who are seen as possible picks. Moran is unlikely to stay past 2026, though. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah. And so we got our poll live as well here, chat. When CPI is tame, PPI is much tamer. All-time highs today and Friday. I'm talking about 8:30 Eastern time, so just use Google QB. I'm really not sure what time in London that is. You play PPI or CPI? What do you mean play? Depends on what you mean by play. Yeah, so again, we're at 945s. We're edging back up to 950s. Nvidia's still running, though. That's the only thing that I think is going to put a stop to this rejection, is if Nvidia keeps pushing up here. Let's see if there's some Nvidia news. Is there any news for Nvidia right now? I don't see anything necessarily. Problem on some social media. Hard to find some of these news stories because everybody's spamming stuff. Talk about picks. Yeah, so Besant sees that Nvidia and AMD's tariffs could be a set of precedent for other companies as well. I don't know, man. That's a strange thing. I might buy some stuff early, but we got a little mini head and shoulders forming right here. We'll see if it continues. See if Amazon pushes up, Nvidia pushes up. Gold is kind of stagnating, slightly red on the day, but not much. Mizuho analyst Vijay Rakesh maintains Nvidia with an outperform and price target of 192. Yeah. That's the news that just came out about 10 minutes ago. You're right. Thank you, sir. So yeah. Again, outperform rating on Nvidia by Mizuho maintains outperform, raise price target at 205. That's what's driving this move this morning. Thank you, sir. We have some earnings this morning, huh? Yeah, we got earnings. Why is it still pumping futures, etc.? Rate cuts are coming in September. Microchips are strong. Tariffs are getting extensions. So it's a mix of tariff extensions, microchip strength, and AI optimism, along with rate cut odds increasing. Like, that's what's pushing everything up. Again, rate cut odds increasing, market strength from AI optimism, and tariffs getting extended in China and others. What I would say. Yeah, CoreWeave and other quantum stocks have been having their biggest pullback in a while now. Do you genuinely think the Fed's not going to cut rates next month? R says that when the Fed either pauses hikes or does something else, can crash as big money flees to safe harbors. Do you genuinely think that the Fed is not going to cut next month? I mean, it's possible. I don't necessarily think that. But a lot of it depends on the data. I think a lot of it depends on the labor report. A lot of it depends on Jackson Hole as well. Like, he's not going to cut a Jackson Hole. If anything, he could change the tune and come out really hawkish at Jackson Hole, and that could decrease rate cut odds substantially. And so it really depends on what happens in that front. Like, does he come out hawkish again like he was this last Fed meeting, even with the new job data? Or does he confirm the sentiment that we currently have, which is that rate cuts are pretty probable? That's what I would ask. All right, guys, NVIDIA at 181.90s here, 181.90s. United Health still at 274s. So it's done me really well. We did reject exactly at 950, though. I got to keep following that level. Here's 933s. So the next level I'm looking at underneath us on the NASDAQ right here is 933. Looking at this right here. We'll see. Yeah, I would buy some of these quantum dips, and maybe I can try to think of like a small position here in some of these quantum stocks. But Rigetti ended up ripping all the way back up. CoreWeave is like down pretty big. I'm kind of looking at maybe buying a little bit of CoreWeave today just because it's down a lot. What are some other quantum stocks? QBTS. QBTS isn't really down much. It's just you, I guess. 120 within minutes. They spent the rest of the day tanking. Like bullish ran. Yeah, BLSH went up to 118, back down to 77. Still a good IPO though. It was like $1 billion plus. Good morning. Kava, yeah, Kava's down a lot. They had disappointing sales, is why they're down. They did rebound a lot from these dips, though. I mean, they dropped a lot and they rebounded a lot back up too. What is MM3? Under 20 MA, 4-week interesting. What's the progress of Woodhouse? Hood dropped yesterday. Yeah, Robinhood down a little bit as well here. We're starting to push back up. Still got 40 minutes until these numbers come out. So it's an interesting day. And again, we got jobless claims unemployment live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time here also. So just be ready, guys. We'll cover it as soon as they drop on both metrics here. We did have interest rates drop a little bit. We also have retail sales tomorrow, which might influence things as well. We had European GDP show up all as expected at 1.4% for quarter 2. I'm showing jobless claims now expected at 225K. Market Watch also has it at 229. Seems a little high. Oh, let's look up. The different analysts are saying Nvidia making another push. We might make another move up to test 950s. Okay, so no, most people are expecting 225. It looks like Market Watch just has like a really high expectation. I don't know why. I'll change this to where the 225 now for jobless claims is the reasonable expectation, I think. News is coming in a little slow still now, but we're watching for stuff. President says he might visit Israel next month before a scheduled visit to Britain. He said the visit there depends on ceasefire talks and stopping the battles currently. SoFi is interesting for a bank company. It's almost 24, 25 bucks. Look at all right, so here's that retest of 950s in the NASDAQ. I think we got to look at like AMD and Nvidia here push up, but AMD's not really up that much. This is Apple. Apple's making a pretty big move this morning. So Apple is planning an AI device push with products including a tabletop robot, security cameras, and more, according to a report. This came out early this morning, but this is the reason it's driving up, because right at around 7 o'clock market time is when it came out, and this is pushing up big. So yeah, Apple is up after they have an AI device push planning rumor or news. And people are so hard on Apple regarding AI. Like, Apple's a hardware company, guys. I mean, people are acting like Apple is freaking Nvidia, or Apple is a software company like Google. You know, and they kind of are in some ways, but they're mostly a hardware company. They sell phones, they sell headphones, you know, they sell PCs. And while AI is important, and I get it, I think people are looking at it for the future of technology, what they're trying to bet on with Apple. And so Apple needs to get involved with AI, but I also don't think we should be too hard on a hardware company, pun intended, I guess, because of it. Yeah, Cisco earnings came out. Bank of America maintained the buy rating on Cisco here, but it's not really reacting well to the earnings. NASDAQ pushing up, trying to get back over that 950 area we talked about. Again, core expected at 0.3%, so both figures are reflecting kind of a. Here, I'm gonna buy this. We're gonna buy a little bit here. Try to maintain good trade here. I'd love to see us push over 950. We've already tested it once. Risk level is going to try to be down at 942. down here. Reward target's gonna be up at about 950 or 960 if I can. C3 AI, yeah, C3 AI. I've heard a lot less about it. It's the symbol AI. It's up a lot though. You know, it's rebounded a lot. It had some pretty big drops down to like $14. So it's just volatile. It's not a big enough company for me to like it enough to buy. It might still go up big. I don't like the long-term trend, but it's big risk, big reward. Like if it does go up, there's some pretty big percentage gains to be made from this thing, it looks like. So yeah, it was hot for a while, C3 AI. I even covered some of their earnings, but it kind of faded. Pfizer. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't know. I don't really try to get too involved with pharma companies. I know I'm holding United Health right now, but I don't know. Meta. Yeah, I mean, Meta's pushed up a lot, though. It's almost $800 stock now. An $800 stock, that's a big stock. DLO pushing up, too. I don't know anything about DLO as a company, though. It is gapping up pretty significantly here, though, if we look at it. It's up almost 40-50%, it looks like now. If we keep rejecting this 950 level, I might just cut this flat right here. I just don't like it if it keeps rejecting 950. Might get out break even. I'll give it a second to test it. But we keep tapping this 950 level that I've had on my chart all morning and like just rejecting it. So, I'll give it a second. But United Health, still looking very solid. There we go. Let's get it again. I'm looking for like 55 or 60 here. See if we can get it. And keep popping up. Again, Nvidia looks strong still, so I'll probably just hold this. Go. Take half off here if I can get filled to lock the profit in. We'll hold the rest break even now. My headphones really just. So I gotta charge them. Go. All right, we're gonna just cut that right there. What's up, Robert? Yeah, there's a timer. We got the 8 a.m. order drop coming through. Look at the NASDAQ push up. So we did rip up here. Again, we're looking at like Meta, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, all looking really strong, especially Amazon. Still in Amazon as well. What's up, Manny? Yeah, the time that the data comes out is in the title, as well as scrolling at the bottom, as well as there's a timer at the bottom left of the screen, sir. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Thanks so much, chat. I appreciate it. Let's keep the growth up here. We did a poll on X.com. 58.8% of people think higher than expected. 41% think lower than expected. News-wise here, a little boring ahead of this drop. All right, so the president's going to speak at the Oval Office today at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Expected a presidential proclamation of the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act, highlighting program improvements. He also might comment on the current conflict overseas, as well as the DC update. So that just came out. So again, president speaking 1 o'clock today, Oval Office. We will see what that looks like. Yeah, president speaking 1 o'clock, Oval Office. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. Here is that release here. I'm gonna put it in video up. All right, so there goes 8 o'clock. That's the 8 o'clock scrum. Let's see if we get some movement. There's a spike in NASDAQ. We got a dip down here. Red show up. Yeah, so traders now seeing a higher probability of a 50 basis point cut than no cut at all, which is at 10%. No cut at all odds on Kashi or whatever it is now 10%, but 50 basis point rate cut odds are now 11%. So slightly higher odds of a 50 basis point cut than no cut at this time. NASDAQ still pushing up. Yeah. Market's still pushing up. Do we get? Yeah, today's PPI inflation report is really important. I like Apple long-term as a company. People tend to hate it a little bit too much, but I like Apple long-term as a company. I think it's solid. You never know, though. We'll see what we get. But yeah. What's the best site to see data as it comes out? Beginner Trading's YouTube channel. Great guy over there. Someone say he's like the top 3 guy ever in everything. Again, United held at 276. NASDAQ still pumping up. I should have held that 960 level I wanted, but we got 955. It's close enough. We bought it at like 42s down here, 44s. NASDAQ is running up higher here though, chat. We had Brazilian service sector growth show up as well. All-time highs, bring new all-time highs. Let's bring another all-time highs. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Wolf up big today. Look at Wolf, WULF. Up to almost 7 from 5s. 30-40% gain here. Again, looking at our poll number we did here, 50% think we get higher inflation than 0.2% month over month for headline PPI inflation data today. 28% think lower, 23% think as expected. We'll see. Again, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We got the PPI inflation data today. Big. Again, so I talked about this earlier. If we get lower inflation data today, as well as like a week, it just did it again. My just went black for like 0.2 seconds. Strange. If we get lower than expected PPI inflation data today, that's going to increase the odds of a September cut. Lower than expected increases the odds of a September cut today. If we get higher than expected jobless claims, that might increase the odds of a September cut as well. So something's just going on. Look at this big pullback here. All right, so Treasury 2-year, 5-year yields fall to the lowest level since May as well, which is mirroring the increased odds of a rate cut. All right, we also have Redfin reporting that typical home buyers' monthly payment on more than $200 may peak with September anticipated interest rate cut already priced into mortgage rates. So yeah, I saw mortgage rates come down as well on Wednesday. Mortgage rates decreased. I think they were like 6.6% versus 6.7% last time. So they dropped, you know, a decent little percentage there week to week. So coming down a little bit now, and I think we'll see better mortgage stuff too. Of course, if they end MBS QT, that'd be good for mortgages as well, but we'll see. All right, we got 1,000 people here. Again, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do this live for free every day. I'm gonna buy this dip here because we're right at this this 50 level that held so strong earlier. Well, we're gonna maybe scalp this move though if we get a retracement back up fast, and then cut it if it doesn't. This looks almost catalyst driven with how big this red drop is though. I'm gonna reduce my size a little bit here while we're basically flat the day, in case. Maybe I'll regret it, maybe I won't. There we go. Take half off up there to protect it, and then we'll cover this mostly break even if it turns on us. That way it's basically risk free at this point. I've been taking longer term trades, but whenever we get this much red action, I think I have to be kind of safe with it. Like, I like the pullback zone, but I gotta be patient here. All right, we're out. Yeah, basically flat on the trade. Gave myself a good chance, though. If it would have ripped up big, we would have made money. And so to get out break even, but have the good chance of like making a larger gain, I think that makes sense a lot of the time. It could be aspect ratio. Oh yeah, so my bottom monitor is a 49-inch ultra wide monitor. It's actually a pretty cool monitor. I could buy two, but I don't know how I would set up stacked. I have a 34-inch ultra wide at the top here, and then I have a 49-inch at the bottom. It's usually fine though. I've been running this setup for almost a year now. It works well. Some days it's worse, but most of the time it's fine. Treasury Secretary Bessent says he does not know if Russian president will agree to the ceasefire. The U.S. president is willing to keep talks going with them. Yeah, there's 950. We are now dumping underneath it. This is what made me cut it. Like, once we break under the support level of 950, I'm not optimistic. It looks like this could be catalyst driven as well here. Yeah, so Treasury Secretary Bessent speaking about the Trump-Putin talks are a precursor for a second round. They don't know if the Russian president will agree to the ceasefire, but the U.S. president is willing to keep talks going with him. Maybe that's negatively impacting markets, possibly. That's the big breaking news that I see here. But I think this is also just like a turnaround in Nvidia and AMD. Nvidia, not AMD, Nvidia maybe and Amazon were running. They're both pulling back drastically right now on this report. So maybe that's influencing them. I'm not sure. Amazon. Here is Nvidia dipping down. Maybe they're just contracting a little bit. Gold pushing up. We're at 34.07s here for gold. So gold's moving up a little bit on this report, maybe on the instability of everything. All right, guys, we got over 20 minutes left. See if we rejected 950 here. Maybe not. Again, I'm not really messing with this. It's too, the data comes out in 20 minutes. And so I don't want to get caught in like chop. Like, I don't want to get caught in boring, like choppy stagnation, you know, ahead of this report. Maybe after this report, if we get some big numbers or bad numbers, we might move. But leading into this report is going to be risky. We're green on the day. I'm going to keep my profits on the day, I think. Love you. Alright, dude. Love you, man. Okay, bro. Love you, buddy. Alright. Alright, guys. We got 20 minutes left until PPI data comes out. We'll see what happens. Let's see if we reject 950. We did reject it a little bit. We're still there. Nvidia right at the volume weighted average price. Look at this level. So we have the previous closing price, the 200 exponential, and the volume weighted average price all within the same area here on Nvidia. I think we could see a bounce right here. I don't know for sure, but if Nvidia decides to bounce at this pretty big milestone level, we could see the NASDAQ follow it up. Again, we are right before big inflation data release, so it's important, but yeah. All right, guys, 20 minutes. We're up to almost 951s. All right, so now we're pushing right back up. Like I said, Nvidia, I expected to bounce here. We got too many milestone levels at once. Should have held my long, but it's okay. Yeah, you put it in 2x speed. You put it in 2x speed, you hit the live button. It'll push you higher. All right, guys, 18 minutes. NASDAQ is ripping up. Wow. Bullish is going to dump hard at the open, maybe. Newegg from 6 to 102. This can't hold. No? Like, look, I will admit, I don't know I'm a tech nerd. Okay? But I don't know the most about Newegg as a company because I don't ever buy my PCs from Newegg. All right, a Reuters poll on the ECB says they're going to hold the deposit rate at 2% next month, according to 46 out of 72 economists. ECB is going to cut 1.75 by the end of this year. It says 34 out of 72. 31 say hold. 7 say 1.5% by the end of the year. superluminal. Around 2 companies are considering U.S. IG debt offerings on Thursday, according to Bloomberg. All right, so we are bouncing here at this level for Nvidia. Amazon's still breaking highs. Gold's decreasing, showing some stability. Hey, nice hustle hard. Congrats, brother. Hey, nice, dude. Yeah, but why is Newegg up this much short term? Like, this is a crazy gain. It can't, I wouldn't imagine it holds. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but like, I don't know. I know they're big for hardware. I understand it. And I'm a tech nerd. I get it. I'm not even mad at it. I'm definitely not going to short it. I just can't imagine it holds these crazy gains it's put in. I could be wrong, though. I don't freaking know, man. I know Newegg's been around a long time. It's kind of got some sway in the hardware world. I understand. But from $3 to 103, that's some crazy gains, bro. You know, and I think most people assumed they were gonna fail, and so maybe they were just really low from that. Maybe they're kind of like Carvana in that regard. Nasdaq's still pushing up. Again, look at Nvidia bounce right here. Yeah, Russell, those bank stocks are helping the Russell. So those bank stocks are pushing the Russell higher. And the Russell's just benefiting from everything. Mania of all-time highs as well. Nasdaq still ripping up. Get Amazon pushing up this morning. Here's the SPY on the top. 645s right now. Still edging higher and higher from PPI inflation data. All right, chat. We got 15 minutes until PPI inflation data drops. We got about 1,200 people here. You guys ready? Palantir's been making some rips up too, huh? Yeah, 185s. When are they gonna hit 200s? Question. And I think the market wants 200s on Palantir too. No? I think the market wants 200. Newegg is up after they launched a gamer community to unite PC enthusiasts worldwide. It came out on the 5th, though, so. Yeah, I'm looking for the news on Newegg. I don't really see any. Alright, guys, so we're up here in the NASDAQ. Still a very strong rebound here. 24,000 is right here on the NQ, and I think it's certainly possible we push up to 24K. There's 24K right there. Very possible we rip up to that level here. We'll see. Do we really trust the data? I don't know, man. Possibly. There'll be a lot of bulls trapped at the top one with egg. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe Newegg does it. I don't know. I really don't know. If it turns into a marketplace, marketplaces can succeed. And so I don't know. I don't want to discount it too much. It's just up a lot for me. I'm not buying it. I'll put it that way. But maybe. I'm not against it necessarily. I'm skeptical. All right, guys, we got 12 minutes left. Higher, lower inflation data. Higher, lower. Put higher or lower in chat, depending on which one you think. Higher or lower inflation data. The chat says lower, higher, Treasury Secretary Bassett on the crypto reserve says we are not going to be buying it, but we'll be confiscating assets. Okay. Lower, higher, lower, higher, 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 lower, higher, as expected, lower. So we're basically split down the middle is what I'm showing here. Look at gold come down though. So gold's down to 3402s right now. Gold is decreasing. NASDAQ's pushing up some. Nvidia is still very strong. Again, Nvidia is still very strong. We're at 181.80s here. So Nvidia pushing up. NASDAQ pushing up. SPY pushing up. Still very strong. Down a little bit from yesterday. Remember, yesterday we were over 24,000 all-time highs on the NASDAQ. We are kind of heading back up there towards that now. If we get low inflation data today, I think we're going to start testing all-time highs again on the NASDAQ and the S&P. Maybe not. You never know. I'm not an investment professional, chat. And remember, I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. But again, I think if we get lower inflation data today, as well as like higher jobless claims than expected, it's expected at 225 to 229,000 for jobless claims. We get higher than expected or at the top end of expectations today for jobless claims. That might decrease the odds of a pause even more and increase the odds of a cut even more. So we'll see. We're heading close to it now though, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, PPI is the producer price index. It's wholesale inflation data. Yeah, so it's wholesale inflation. So let's talk about this a little bit. Just heading into the inflation report is important. So again, headline PPI for July, which is what this report is expected to rise 0.2% month over month, 0.2% after holding steady in June. The year-over-year figures is projected around 2.4%. Core PPI expected to rise 0.2 to 0.3% as well, and 2.9% annually. And so I'm showing PPI at 0.2%. Year over year, I'm showing for July at 2.5%. So you can see the expectations certainly vary. Expectations certainly vary. But 0.2% month over month for headline, or expected at 0.2% as well. Anywhere between 2.5 to 2.9% expected on the year for regular PPI data. 2.4 to 2.5%, I mean. Okay, so Bassett also just kind of backtracked on what he said. So Treasury Secretary Bassett also just said this right here. All right. So Bassett on the Fed says he did not tell the Fed what to do. Maybe we'll start with 25 basis point cut and accelerate, is what he said. So again, Bassett kind of backtracking a little bit here. All right, so a higher than expected PPI could signal increasing inflationary pressures seeping from wholesale level costs into CPI and consumer prices. Conversely, a softer, lower than expected number would reinforce expectations that inflation is cooling, which would strengthen the odds of a September cut and increase the odds of a 50 basis point cut even more. Again, economists are highlighting that businesses have been absorbing much of the tariff related costs, about 64% through June, but this could be thinning. If firms begin passing on those costs, PPI could be a leading indicator for future CPI and consumer inflation. So again, earlier in the week, we had CPI data. CPI data showed 2.7% year over year headline, which is lower than expected. Core was at the top end of expectations though at 3.1%, which hinted at somewhat sticky price pressure, but some price stability as well in terms of headline CPI, including, food and energy. Labor market also had a 258,000 revision, showed massive labor market weakness. This is what propelled the odds of a rate cut so much higher over the previous few months. This is what propelled the odds of rate cuts even higher, because again, during the last Fed meeting earlier, late last month, I think is when the last Fed meeting was. During that Fed meeting, Powell was pretty hawkish, meaning restrictive, meaning he wanted high interest rates. He was data dependent. He didn't want to commit to September cuts. He didn't even want to insinuate that we could cut in September. Very hawkish, said the labor market was strong and all this other stuff. And then we got a big 260,000 labor report revision during that Friday's non-farm payroll report and labor report. And so this kind of swapped it back. Like this completely pivoted back from, hey, I don't know if we're going to cut in September, to it's pretty freaking likely we're now going to cut in September. And so that's where we are now. We're looking at 99.8% likelihood of a cut in September and 0.2% chance of a 50 basis point cut in September even. But again, today's PPI inflation report could swing these odds back in favor of a more paused, balanced approach. We're still doing quantitative tightening, which is a reduction in the Fed's balance sheet. Again, the Fed has a dual mandate. They want labor market strength and price stability. So again, they want labor strength and price stability, and we'll see which one we get. Again, it's hard to get both. They want 2% inflation over time, and they want a strong, thriving labor market. But the Fed's job is to maintain balance. If the labor market's too weak, we could be heading towards a recession, and their job is to be proactive to protect us from that. If we start to look really weak in the labor market, they're supposed to cut, bring interest rates down. If it's really a desperate matter, then they'll do more desperate things like QE and money printing to try to stimulate the economy even more. And on the other end of that, if we're showing massive inflation risks and problems, the Fed will be hawkish. They will raise interest rates, trying to push the economy down and push spending down a little bit, because that will combat inflation. And they can also do a more desperate thing, which we're currently still doing, and we have been for years, which is quantitative tightening. It's the opposite of money printing. It's restricting liquidity from those markets. Ultimately helps keep it more restrictive in the economy. And again, that is what the deal is heading into today's PPI inflation report. We also have retail sales tomorrow on Friday, but these are important reports you want to pay attention to. And again, we'll see what we get. All right, let's watch that 950 level. 950 seems to be a level here. So Vladimir Galkin reports a 6 million Newegg purchase. He's what's pumping up Newegg. All right, guys, less than 5 minutes. Yeah, and of course, the president wants lower interest rates because every president wants a thriving economy under their watch, and stimulating the economy obviously is what they want. And so they want low interest rates because they can brag about the labor market, of course. But what you'll notice is that every single president, it doesn't matter on which side, plays a little game. If the economy's weak, but inflation's going down, they're going to hyper focus on the inflation part. They're going to say, look at inflation decrease. Look how great I am. And on the other end of that, if inflation's spiraling out of control, but the labor market's strong, they're going to say, look at how strong the labor market is. And they're going to completely ignore the other end. And again, both sides do this. It's not really anything we can be hypercritical of them about, because this is what they do. But yeah. Again, hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. You'll be able to watch the data release as soon as it drops. It drops right here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We got about 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes left. So be ready. Here we go. We're getting very close to this report. We got about 2,000 people here. I don't know about buy or sell gold. There's a lot of variance that can come from these reports. This is why we get thousands of people tune into this, is because they move markets. And there's a lot of variance that could come from this report. So I'm not telling anybody to do anything. Not an investment professional, not liable. If you lose, make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything, guys. Just be careful. Again, 3 minutes left. NASDAQ is coming down heavy here ahead of this report. Heavy. All right, here we go. 2.5 minutes. Again, guys, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. We cover every major economic release as soon as it happens. We get thousands here because people tune in because they know we're going to cover it as soon as it drops. And so subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can watch us trade live every day. Watch us talk about stock news, market news, breaking news. We start the stream early. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Well, it depends on which inflation metric. Under 3% is generally pretty good regarding inflation. And so at 2.7%, that's decent. That's not terrible. I mean, I know the 2% target's a 2% target. If I want to make $1 billion and I make 800 million, I'm pretty happy with it. You know. All right, guys, we got about 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up. You can put it in 2x speed and hit live next to play button on YouTube, and it'll be more real time. Hey, thank you, Arm. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm very neutral as well, guys. Like, I see both sides. I try not to get too heavily involved with one political, you know, push or anything, because I really dislike the whole realm of politics. All right, guys, we got 1 minute and 10 seconds left. 1 minute and 10 seconds. Yeah, I'll talk about BJJ after the report. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left. 1 minute left. What happens? Here we go. 1 minute. Time. Time is now. We got almost 2,500 here. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what the market does. This is a big report, relevant report. Just be ready here, guys. Be ready. All right. 20 seconds. All right, here we go. All right, this timer's a little bit early, but it drops in about 2 seconds. 1 second, and here's the report. Okay, guys, PPI showed up at 0.9% for core PPI and 0.9% for regular PPI. Way higher than expected, guys. 0.9% for core and 0.9% for regular. Way higher than expected. Shockingly higher than expected for inflation data here, guys. These are going to drastically reduce the odds of rate cuts. Core PPI year over year showed 3.7% versus 2.9% expected. Again, 3.7% versus 2.9% expected for core year over year. Wow, dude, this is way worse than expected. This is going to decrease the odds of a cut dramatically now, dude. PPI year over year showed 3.3%. 3.3%. Wow. Again, 3.3% versus about 2.5% expected. This is way worse than expected. Way worse than expected. Yikes, dude. Drastically worse. Yikes, dude. Again, jobless claims showed lower than expected, which is good, but look at this drop in the NASDAQ here, bro. This is going to drastically decrease odds of a rate cut. Yikes, dude. Again, PPI inflation way higher than expected, chat. Way higher than expected. Core PPI month over month showed up at 0.9%. Core PPI year over year showed up at 3.7%. 3.7%. Regular PPI showed up at 0.9%. PPI year over year for July showed up at 3.3%. I wonder if the president's even going to acknowledge this data here. I wonder if the president's going to acknowledge this data. Look at everything fall. Gold is down. Nvidia is down. The SPY is down. Let's look at the dollar index. Dollar index is up big, of course, because more spending. But way worse than expected here, chat. Way worse. I will put this data up on screen, but man, dude, this is the worst PPI inflation report I've seen in a minute, dude. 3.3% versus 2.5%. For year over year PPI data. Way worse than expected. Regular PPI showed up at 0.9% versus 0.2% here. Eesh. So much worse than expected. Here, we got it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Jobless claims was a little bit better than expected, though, so that's one of the silver linings here. Jobless claims came in at 224 versus expected 228 or 225 or whatever you had it at, but it was lower than most people had it. I mean, you can see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen, but man, this is way worse than expected here, chat. Yeah, so again, you got to hit the live button next to the play button. Okay, so you want to see what this is doing to rates immediately. Let's take a look at the yields here. Let's take a look at yields. If you want to see what this is doing to rates, look at yields. So yields and interest rates follow each other, especially in terms of mortgages. But look at these yields spike. Yields are up. They're not up that much, though, to be honest here. And so they're really not up that much. Yeah, so both of these things showed stronger economy but higher inflation, higher prices. Continuing claims were lower than expected for jobless claims, and then initial claims were lower than expected as well. But again, look at yield spike. Yikes. That's a scary report. That's a scary report. Honestly, I read 0.9. And at first I was like, let me reread this to make sure it's accurate, because 0.9 seemed wild. That's a wild report. And then tomorrow, guys, remember, we got retail sales data. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You want to follow me on x.com @beginnertrades. We publish all of this as soon as it drops. We publish all of this as soon as it drops. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. And @beginnertrades, BEGINNERTRADES, @beginnertrades. Yikes, though, dude. This PPI inflation report is bad. I think, again, yields are up, too. I mean, they're up to 4.24%. They're still not. Let's see if the rate cut odds have decreased a little bit now. And again, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. If you want to get around the PDT rule, the futures market is what you want to do. No PDT. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Patterns are very similar to day trading patterns in stocks. They give you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month to test your skill, and it teaches you how to trade as well. Tons of resources. If you pass it, they fund you 50K. You get to keep your first 10K in profit moving forward, and then 90% split afterwards, which is the best of both worlds. It's similar reward to funding your own account, but $50 risk. It just makes sense. They pay out millions, fund thousands. Beautiful way to help support the channel, but I'm biased because I get paid by them. It's the first sponsored plug in hours on my stream. But again, a great way to help support your boy here in this channel. I'll put the link up. Beautiful way to help support us. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks so much. There's the link in chat right there. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. I get paid by them. I'm biased, guys. Don't copy me. Some would say I'm the most biased person ever in the world. But look at the NASDAQ fall here. Let's take a look at the rate expectations now. Here's the rates. I'm surprised this is going to change. This has to change here. Right? It's still at 99.8% with a 50 basis point odds at 0.2%, but this has to change. There's no way this stays the same. Let's do a poll here. I want to see what you guys think. What is the most probable scenario for September FOMC meeting now? Uh, 25 BP cut. Or here, all right, we'll start it off with no cut. Actually, we'll start it out with rate hike, no cut, or rate hike, pause, and then we'll do 25 BP cut, and then we'll do 50 BP cut. All right, guys, so vote on this poll. This poll is now live. But let me know what you guys think. NASDAQ's still falling. Dollar index is up. SPY is down. Gold is kind of rebounding a little bit, but the NASDAQ is down very big. Look at this drop. Understandably so. This is bad inflation data, bro. This is not good. Yeah, core PPI was even 0.9% as well, dude. Eesh. It's not crazy when you consider the data. This is why we cover this data live every day, man, because that way you guys know this is coming. Because that's why you see me stop taking positions ahead of this. Because if I don't, I can get stuck in this. A lot of stuff just turned too. take a little bit off of Crocs up here. We're very green in Crocs. I'm just gonna liquidate some of this and keep my profit up here. Profit. We're very green and everything, but still. Yeah, is Bitcoin down? Yeah, Bitcoin wants rate cuts. And Bitcoin down to 119s now from 120s. 118s at the lows. All right, looking at our poll here. 43% think the most probable scenario for September FOMC meeting is now a pause. 29% think a 25 basis point cut. 11% think 50. 18% think a rate hike. Listen, guys, the 18% that voted for a rate hike, I think you're wrong. I think the most important thing to listen to now, you want to understand stuff here. All eyes are on Jackson Hole Symposium right now. All eyes are on the Jackson Hole Symposium. Why? Because it's the first look we get at Jerome Powell after this data comes out this week. This CPI data, PPI data, retail sales tomorrow. It's the first look we get at Jerome Powell and his sentiment and tone after all this stuff this week. And that is going to be next Friday, most likely. Powell usually speaks on Friday during Jackson Hole. This is going to be next Friday that you want to pay attention to. Next Friday, if you want to know what we do in September, watch my live stream for Jackson Hole next Friday. We'll break everything down as we always do. But that's going to be the quickest way to figure out what we're doing in September. That's going to make these odds change and swing if we get different tones from Powell. And so the Jackson Hole Symposium, Jerome Powell speech on Friday next week is the most important report that we're getting over the next few weeks for sure. I would say maybe up until September. I think the labor report that comes out early next month is going to be important as well. PCE inflation, which is the Fed's preferred inflation metric, is going to be important at the end of this month as well. And we're going to stream all of it live as we always do. So again, shameless plug, hit the subscribe button, guys. You know you want to try it one time. But yeah, interesting. Again, let's take a look at the rate cut odds. I'm watching these to see if they swing the other way here. They haven't changed yet, though. I mean, PPI is not the most important metric. Some people think it's more important than CPI, but I'm not showing that this, it could be due to tariffs, sure. Could be due to tariffs. But again, this drop is not really that big either, though. Like, this drop is really not that big. And so maybe the market's seeing this as insignificant. I don't know. It's a drop for sure, but... Okay, here, the odds just swung. Yeah, so now there's no chance of a 50 basis point cut in terms of the FOMC Fed watch tool. There's a 7.3% chance of a pause now, and it's back to 92.7% odds of a, this is a 25 basis point cut, and this is a pause now at 7.3%. So the odds of rates, it's still looking pretty probable we're gonna cut, but yeah. And again, if we take a look at the PPI inflation report here. All right. So again, index for final demand, less food and energy and trade services moved up 0.6%. The index for final demand services moved up 1.1% in July, the largest advance since rising 1.3% in March of 2022. Over half of the broad-based July increases is attributable to margins for final demand trade services, which jumped 2%, which is trade indexes, measured changes in margins received by wholesalers and retailers. Prices for final demand services, less trade, transportation, and warehousing, and for final demand transportation and warehousing services advanced 0.7% and 1% respectively. So 30% of the July rise in prices for final demand services can be traced to margins for machinery and equipment wholesaling, which went up almost 4% at 3.8%. The indices for portfolio management, securities brokers, dealing, investment advice and related services, travel accommodation services, auto retailing, truck transportation and freight also went up. Prices for hospital outpatient care fell 0.5%. The index for furniture retailing and pipeline transportation of energy also went down. But this is due to services mostly. Final demand for services moved up 1.1% in July, the largest advance since rising 1.3% 3 years ago in March of 2022. Well, it depends on what you say better, Michelle. So jobless claims unemployment did show up at 224,000, which you can also read at the bottom of the screen in yellow. Jobless claims unemployment did show up at 224,000. The problem here is that actually means decreased odds of cuts even more. Like if we show a strong labor market and high inflation, that's the opposite of anything that would contribute to lower rates, right? So if you listen to the stream earlier, what we said would contribute to lower rate environment is low inflation in a weak labor market. Okay, we got the exact opposite. We got a strong labor market and high inflation and PPI inflation. And so we're somewhere like we did the exact opposite of what we wanted if you want lower rates. I don't know if the president's even going to mention this. I doubt he will. I genuinely doubt he's going to mention it. If I was him, I wouldn't. Not if I want lower rates and I'm pushing for it and calling people crazy and stuff. But if I'm him, I'm not even saying a word about this report. Yeah, the Fed Watch was updated. I see that. Was it updated again? No. Yeah, it's 7.3% now for pause. Stagflation? Yeah, maybe. I think stagflation looks probable. Stagflation, just for those that might not understand the term, is a period of economic and inflation problem. I don't know. It's a period of economic weakness and high inflation. It usually precedes a recession, is what stagflation is. And so again, it's the worst of both. It's weak labor market and high inflation. It's called stagflation. It usually precedes a recession. Yeah, Nvidia's bouncing back a little bit. I do see Nvidia bouncing back. That 850 level back in play here. Well, I think now the Fed is probably... I still think there's a big chance we do a September cut. I still do. I still think there's a big chance we do a September cut. But as with most stuff, it depends. It depends on what kind of data we get. Again, over the next coming month here, prior to this next FOMC meeting, we got PCE inflation, the Fed's preferred inflation metric. If that comes in low, while it might contradict this a little bit, it's still better for rate cuts. We got the next labor report that comes out early next month. You know, we got GDP data that might influence things a little bit. We have just a lot of other reports that come out that might change these odds and expectations. And so just be ready for all that stuff because we'll see what we get. But do we have a weak economy? Earnings say otherwise. Well, I mean, earnings and the economy are not necessarily like the most correlated thing in the world. You know, the stock market can be a wildly different animal than the economy. You know, if you want to look at the state of the economic health, you want to look at like GDP, you want to look at the labor report, you want to look at jobs. That's usually what signals economic strength or weakness, labor reports and jobs. That's why the payroll, the labor report we get once a month is so big, and that's why the revisions this previous time influence things so much. It's just because, you know, you want to look at the labor report, you want to look at GDP, you know, even if you want to see the strength of the economy, GDP, and so it varies. But the labor report weakness that we're seeing recently is from the 258,000 revision to the labor report that we got. So. But it's somewhere in the middle, I would say. Like it does look a little stagflation-y, and yes, I just used that term. But it's not. There's a lot of contradictory information, I guess is the easiest way to put it right now. Like we've got lower CPI inflation, higher PPI inflation. We've got weak labor market data. Meanwhile, high PPI inflation data, you know, and so it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, well, Wolf doesn't care about it because it's a small cap. Yeah, I doubt he's gonna say anything, Michelle. Nothing yet on. Yeah, I doubt he's gonna say anything. Market open brutal incoming, maybe. Hey, thank you for the becoming a member. Resist, my guy. Thanks so much, dude. Ray says market open brutal incoming. Do we keep tanking? I don't know. You know, I wouldn't say this drop is incredibly large, but it's not small necessarily either. You know, but we only broke under like the last few days lows, so it wasn't like a crazy drop. And I think with 0.9% versus 0.2%, that's very high. That's way higher than expected. I think the year-over-year data 3.7 versus 2.9% is shockingly high as well. I think we could have dropped more from this report. And again, I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you so much. But the problem is that the opening bell has so much variance. I have no freaking idea what we're gonna do. Again, I'd rather just be honest. I could give you guys some story. Nobody knows where we're gonna go at the opening bell. Sometimes we get delayed responses from this data. So like it was worse, and so sometimes we get like delayed responses at the opening bell where we do something in pre-market, but nothing major. And then at the opening bell, we compensate for it after negative release and we just drop. That's possible. It's also possible that we just rip up and then bulls just take control again since we're so close to all-time highs and there's a lot of upward momentum as well. I don't know which one's gonna happen. Just protect yourself. Be careful. I appreciate the donation. Again, we can take a look at yields. Yeah, we can take a look at yields. Yeah, yields at 4.231%. So they originally spiked on this, showing a higher interest rate sentiment, and then they kind of fizzled out here regarding treasury yields. So we'll see what happens there as well. Yeah, I still got UNH. My average price in UNH is 240 something. It's at 273s now. We bought the dip a while back. I thought it would look cheap, and we bought the dip. Nasdaq started to fill some of this gap, so it looks like we filled about 30% of this gap down that we did from PPI inflation. So there's optimism too, man. Maybe we rip back up. Who knows? We'll see. Again, give me a follow at x.com at beginner trades. At beginner trades. PPI inflation data came out. And I posted this GIF. We posted it as soon as it dropped, but then we posted this. So give me a follow at beginner trades. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, where's the VIX at? I'm sure the VIX is up a little bit on this report now. Yeah, they're up. Still at 15 though, so still relatively low relative, compared to everything else. Core Weave. I thought about buying the dip in Core Weave just because I want to get more exposure to quantum, but if I do buy some, it's going to be very small position. I just don't trust it enough. It's too volatile. Yeah, I think you might be right, actually. Sorry, it's cloud infrastructure and AI. My bad. I was thinking IO and Q. I don't know why I got those two mixed up. But IO and Q's down a little bit on this report, too. I want some exposure to them, though. But if I do buy some quantum stocks, CoreWeave is AI. I like CoreWeave, but it's volatile. I would say it's bad news for market velo. It means that rate cuts are going to be less likely. and those odds have decreased about 7%. Now we got a 7% chance of a pause in September versus a 99.8% chance of a cut prior to this report. So higher inflation in this report certainly negatively impacted things. It certainly makes it less probable. The inflation data was certainly not good. Way higher than expected, way higher than previously for almost everything in PPI, shockingly higher in most metrics. PPI headline way higher, 0.9% month over month. Yeah, just shockingly bad report here. 0.9% versus 0.2% for headline. Core PPI month over month 0.9% versus 0.2% for core. Year over year 3.7 versus 2.9 for core, and then headline 3.3 versus 2.5%, so shockingly high for PPI data. And the market obviously negatively reacted to this. It means less likelihood of rate cuts. It means much higher inflation. It means maybe higher rates for longer is what this means. VIX went up, markets went down. Gold is kind of stagnating here. Dollar index went up though. It just means more hawkish. I mean, you keep saying bad report, but is it? It means stronger economy. Kind of. It kind of does. It means higher prices is what it means. Higher wholesale prices. So let me just ask the chat this. Chat, do you think higher prices is a good or bad thing? Let's talk about it. Are higher prices good or bad, chat? Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I had to do it. I think a large majority of people here would agree that higher prices are bad. Now, yes, it does show some strength in the labor market, and that's good after that bad jobless or that bad labor report last Friday, or not last Friday, but the Friday before. But still, nobody wants higher prices right now. I think in the landscape of the last 5 years, you know, we had 2020 stimulus checks sent out, supply chain problems, lockdown. Like in 2020, the Fed stimulated the economy massively, and somewhat justifiably so, because I mean it was 2020. You know, everything was bad at that period of time. They were worried we'd enter a deep recession, and so they came in swinging. They lowered interest rates. They did quantitative easing, money printing, injecting liquidity into those markets. We had supply chain problems. We had stimulus checks. Like we had all these different stuff, and the consequence of all this stuff was by 2022 inflation had spiked up to almost 10% in CPI inflation. And so then the Fed turns hawkish. They turn restrictive. They start raising rates, and they raise rates like 400 basis points. They also started doing quantitative tightening, restricting their balance sheet, and taking liquidity away from those markets. And it worked to a certain extent. Inflation slowed. But once prices go up, you're stuck with them. And so once prices go up, they don't really go back down unless we're talking about oil or food. And even food is kind of tricky as well. But that is the inflation that everybody's still dealing with modern age. People are saying prices are still high. They're not really talking about the inflation prices that we're seeing right now, the inflation rate that we're seeing. They're talking about the inflation we've seen over the last 5 years. Stuff is 2, 3, 4x what it was pre-2020. And like that's kind of what happened. And that's why I think most people would agree higher prices are bad right now. Yes, it does show somewhat of a stronger economy, sure, but I think it's a net negative. But it's subjective, I guess. Everybody's different. I would argue it's bad, though. But yeah, I mean, jobless claims unemployment was slightly lower than expected. It was mostly flat. But I think it being lower than expected also signals less likelihood of cuts. But yeah, that's what I meant. There's improvement in job support. Yeah, no, I agree. You're right, Word. It's all good, bro. I'm just gonna. What is the chance we get rate cuts in September? It's all data dependent. So these percentages are subject to change. As of now, 3.5% likelihood of a pause and a 96.5% likely. So the odds of a rate cut actually went up over the last 5 minutes. So about 97% likely that we cut rates as of now. But again, these are subject to change. Based on the current economic landscape, 97% likelihood that we cut rates 25 basis points next meeting in September. Again, it certainly could change. Yeah, I think it's certainly not going to be a 50 now. 50's out the freaking window. I'm sure Bassett recognizes that now too, because he was the one pushing for 50. 50's out the freaking window. There's no way we do 50. It would be weird to do 50 right now. 25's fine. We can continue QT and do a 25 basis point cut for balance, and that's fine. But we're not doing 50. I don't think we're going to end QT and do a 25 basis point cut either, though. I think we're going to balance it. Pause could happen, certainly, sure. Again, what you want to pay attention to is the Jackson Hole Symposium next month. Or next week. Friday. We're going to stream it all live right here. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We're going to stream it all live as soon as it happens right here. We don't sell a course. Don't sell a service. Don't claim to be an expert. Don't act like a guru. Everything we do here is free. We're going to stream it live right here, 8:30. Or I don't know when it's going to be. I think it's actually going to be in the afternoon. But we're going to stream the whole thing live. You can hit the subscribe button. If you hit the bell next to it, you'll get an alert anytime we go live. We appreciate it. Well, Bassett is just going to mirror what the president wants, right? I can't really blame him, you know? I mean, that's what you do if you're Bassett. Yeah. If you and the president are homies, you're going to be like, hey. And the president wants lower rates, you're going to be like, yeah, we should cut 50. Of course. He knows. I'm not mad at him for it. All right, guys, we got less than 30 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see what we get. Yeah, we're starting to come back down here. We're at 8:30s. Oh man, I didn't even realize I set this poll. All right, guys, so we're still bouncing at this 825 level I'm looking at. Again, the dollar index is liking this report. Gold is flat. SPY is down, of course. A lot of people are going to look at this like it's a bear flag. We'll see what happens, though. Why is the 10-year yield not moving? Well, because rate cut odds haven't really changed that much, man. I mean, the 10-year yield's up to 4.25%. So, I mean, it's higher. But rate cut odds haven't really changed that much. We were almost down to 4.2% prior to this report coming out. But again, rate cut odds are still pretty similar as to what we were prior to this report. So rate cut odds are essentially the same. It changed 2 or 3%, but on a betting perspective, that's basically the same. All right, guys, NASDAQ still flushing down. I might buy this dip here. We got 25 minutes. Okay, here, let me check the chat. I'm trying to catch back up on everybody. Yeah, so the Eye of Husky says, damn, I was at the gym. I missed out so much. Yeah, so PPI inflation data shockingly high. 3.3 versus 2.5% year over year. Core showed up at 3.7 versus 2.9 or whatever it is. Month over month, both showed up at 0.9% for both core and headline. Way higher than expected PPI inflation. It freaked the market out. The market dipped. Rate cut odds changed a little bit. I thought they would drastically change, though, but I guess not. I think a 25 basis point cut is still pretty probable by most analysts, but we'll see what Powell says next week. I think that's going to be, again, that's what you want to watch. What Powell says next week is big, important, relevant. Tariffs do not influence inflation, or does it? I mean, think about it like this, okay? If you're a company that imports steel from another country and you have to pay 25% higher prices, who do you think's really paying those prices? You think the company's paying 25%, or you think they're going to pass it on to the consumer, thus causing inflation? You know, of course they cause inflation to a certain extent, and there's risks to inflation. As long, again, the China pause helped ease the fears of inflation a little bit, and I think the president's going to continue to pause or continue to extend the tariffs for China until they get a deal done. I don't think he's going to let 150% or whatever the tariffs are there, like, you know. And so, yeah, tariffs are going to cause inflation at least a little bit. I mean, it's the natural consequence of it. Businesses almost never eat the profits. They're not going to let it affect their margins too much. They're just going to pass it on the consumer, and then they have a justifiable reason for it. They could say, hey, look, it cost us 25% more now. You know, we're raising prices 25%. Now, it might decrease their business, and they might lower prices to stay competitive, but that's getting into really deep nuance of it, and I don't freaking know. Right, exactly. It 100% reduces supply as well. Like I said, I mean, business might slow down when prices are higher, and it might exacerbate the problem, if that makes sense too. Typically, higher inflation leads to higher interest rates. Sure. I mean, because the point of raising rates high is to push the economy down to control inflation. So if you get high inflation data, it's less likely that we're going to have a lower interest rate environment, because the Fed has to play both sides. They want a strong economy, but a strong economy is not always good in every context. And so if you have like really high inflation, the Fed's going to raise rates like they did in 2022 after 2020 spiked inflation. By 2022, we had high inflation. The Fed raised rates 400 basis points, 4%. Maybe more than that. I have to go back and check the actual number. And then they paused rates for a year at those restrictive levels. They're trying to push the economy and spending down a little bit to push the inflation down is what they're doing. And so, yes, high inflation does generally mean a more hawkish, restrictive Federal Reserve, as they should be with higher inflation. It depends on how high inflation is, but yeah. Just need to end income taxes. I'm for that. I'm for ending property taxes over everything else. I freaking hate property taxes. Property taxes are nonsensical. Oh, I own the house, but if it's worth $600,000, I gotta pay freaking 10K plus a year just to own it? And I'm also getting taxed on sales and income? Make it make sense, guys. Again, if some old lady owns a house she bought in 1930, and that house has appreciated wildly since then, and she's made a lot of money, good for her. You're gonna make her refinance that house just to pay property taxes? You're gonna make her pay freaking 30K a year in property taxes that she might not have and lose her home, while she's also getting taxed on everything else? It's just nonsensical. Makes no freaking sense. I'm for ending property taxes over everything else. I mean, I'd probably rather income tax, to be real, but that's just because it's such a larger percentage. But yeah. Right, if it goes up, you owe more, regardless of how much you make. They're forcing people to refinance. It's all a scheme, is what it is. They're forcing people to refinance for the banks. That's what they're doing. Alright, Nvidia's still dipping. Nvidia down to 180s now. Look at Nvidia here. Getting gold at 34s. Yields are still higher. Yeah, do you really own anything if there's property taxes is the real question. $20K for property taxes. Between a couple different properties, Charlie, I pay more than that a year in property taxes. And I freaking hate it. Like, I get so mad paying taxes now. Like, don't bug me in October or March, because I'm probably mad. You know? Does the closing price of a stock in pre-market equal the opening price, or can it differ? It's virtually the same, but it can probably differ by a small margin, I'm assuming, but it's virtually the same. Property taxes take care of the essential share that would not normally be covered by the collective. I mean, you don't think getting triple tax should cover that? Income, sales, and property? You don't think income and sales tax could cover all that stuff, man? Like, look, I understand both sides of this. Like, I understand. But I also don't trust the government, you know? No, I bought back in, Ruiz. I bought back in right after the dip. I bought back. If you guys remember, I bought back like. I'll have to, I'll look it up later. Hey, what's up, Sam? I'd buy houses overseas. Yeah, no, exactly, Sam. I'm okay with that either. I think billionaires should have to pay a higher tax. You know, like, I'm a capitalist, but again, both sides of the spectrum would probably dislike me if they, you know, I'm very neutral on all of us, but I'm okay with billionaires paying more taxes too. I'm okay with some healthcare being free as well. Canada does it okay, because the healthcare system's gotten crazy too. Like, I'm okay with my tax dollars being spent on reasonable things, but everybody here knows that's not always the freaking case, you know. So, I'm somewhere in the middle, but all right, guys, we're almost at 850. Let's see if we reject this level now. All right, guys, so we're rejecting this 850 level. Let's see if we hold. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people are buying this. I think we just dipped a lot and now we're consolidating down. So we pulled back a lot and now we're kind of sideways. And maybe we fill the gap. Maybe this is a bear flag and we keep going down. I don't know. I'm waiting till the opening bell. I'm not really confident in any of this stuff. I think I just need to sit tight. No, I live in Texas, Paul. And everybody's all like, Texas, yeah, there's no state income tax in Texas. It's like, yeah, that's true. But you're getting charged 2 to 3% property tax. You know, I'll show you the math behind it. Everybody's like, yeah, Texas, freedom. Low taxes. Not if you own property here, it's not. Say you have a $600,000 house. A lot of places you're getting charged 2.4% for this house, right? So you're paying 15 grand a year, 14 grand a year for that $600,000 house, just in property taxes alone, just to own it. You got, you know, $14,000, $15,000 a year just to own that property, $600,000 property. If you got $1 million property, you're paying $24,000 a year or more for that property. Ridiculous. Like, I'm from Louisiana. My dad, I know I talked to my dad. My dad's paying like 0.6. And I'm mad at him for it. You know? My dad's paying like 1%, or it's like 0.6 something percent. I mean, Louisiana is Louisiana, though. I love my home state. I certainly don't want to live there. No offense. You know? No, for sure, Mikhail. I'm glad we don't have a state income tax for sure. Yeah, go Tigers. Yes, sir. That's right. I don't want to live there, but go Tigers. You know? Yeah, I'm from Baton Rouge. It's, I don't want to live in Baton Rouge anymore. I love my home city and my hometown, though. All right, guys, 850 still rejecting. What would be the entry-level price for a house in Texas? I would say right now it's probably about $350 to $425. So you're going to be paying, let's say it's 4. You're going to be paying about 10 grand a year just to own that house. Yeah, the issue with Baton Rouge is that, like, you can have like a really, really nice neighborhood, and then like half a mile down, it's just the opposite. It turns sketchy really quick. And again, I've lived there a majority of my life. But it's also got some beautiful parts about it, you know. Got some great food there. Baton Rouge has got some great food. What happens if you don't pay property taxes? They take your property. Yeah, like Gardeer and all that stuff. LSU's great though. Go Tigers, you know. I don't want my kids to go there, but go Tigers. Nvidia's breaking down. We're at 180s right now. Why would the Fed cut rates with higher inflation? Well, because it depends on which inflation metric you're looking at. They're kind of contradictory. The CPI inflation was somewhat lowest, excluding core. 2.7% for headline CPI inflation. PPI inflation was high, but that's wholesale inflation, right? So PPI inflation is wholesale, like business inflation. But eventually, again, a general trend is that it gets passed on to consumers. And so PPI inflation being high is certainly not good. It certainly reduces the odds of rate cuts, at least some. The question is it a big enough catalyst to completely remove the odds of rate cuts under the majority expectation right now? And I don't know. As of now, no. If we take a look at the rate cut odds and see if they've changed a little bit since the last time we looked at it on the Fed Watch tool, last time I looked at it was about 96%. Yeah, so the odds of a rate cut have decreased. This was 98. This was like 99%. Now it's at 94%. So I had some fun times in Tigerland though. Chief of Peace. I had some fun times, bro. I had some fun in Baton Rouge growing up. Into my 20s. Got out of there, but not like Houston. I mean, I'm in Houston now, so. But we're still in the same situation where Powell is going to say we need to wait and watch for what has changed. I don't know. Again, what's going to matter here, guys, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to kind of be a broken record about all this stuff today. But I'm going to say it again. What matters the most now, the biggest catalyst right now, if you want to understand what we're doing for rates, is going to be the Jackson Hole Symposium next Friday when Powell speaks. That's going to be our first look at what Powell thinks regarding all this labor report stuff, CPI inflation, PPI inflation. Tomorrow we have retail sales. Next week we got the Fed minutes report. If you want to see what we're going to do, watch what Powell says. We're going to stream this whole thing live. Subscribe, because we're going to stream it live next Friday. It's going to be what matters the most now. We're going to get a first look at what Powell's tone might be like during the next FOMC meeting in September. That's the most important thing right now. Houston has all that good Vietnamese food. They do, honestly. Good Korean food. They got like, I like K-pot. I have a Korean friend. K-pot's very good. I have some Vietnamese friends as well. They make that pandan cake is really good. They had a birthday party like a week ago. Lots of really good food. They had pho. They had all kind of good stuff. Yeah, well, here's the issue, right? So Yowzer says the property tax is not the problem. The problem is with the government's assessed value of your property going up over time. 100% agree. And conventionally, I think my real estate license is inactive. I think I still have a license, but it's inactive right now, just to preface what I'm about to say. So this is not real estate investment advice. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But generally, your assessed value is supposed to come in widely under what the market value of your property generally is, right? So what that means is that the amount that you're paying taxes on for your property generally would come in lower than the market value. Like if you sold that property today, what you would get for it, essentially, is what it's usually and was supposed to be like. A trend that I've seen over the last few years is that the assessed value is coming in way over what your market value is. And then when you try to dispute that with the government, they say, nah. And you can say, hey, look at all this stuff I have here that proves this house is not worth that much. You're taxing me more than it's worth. They're just going to be like, no, and they're going to hope you don't dispute it or whatever it is. I've seen that a lot, not just with me in a property that I've owned specifically, but other people that live here as well have said the exact same thing. So the assessed value for properties has gone up, and it's been wild over the last 3 years. It's crazy high. It's unnecessarily high. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes until the opening bell. We're going to day trade. I've been a little quiet day trading. I haven't been doing this a ton, but I wanted to focus on kind of the big economic events. I think the property tax conversation is a good conversation as well. But yeah, we got the opening bell in 6 minutes. We'll see what we get. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're called up. I wouldn't call jobless claims cool off. It was lower than expected, but by 1,000, which is pretty negligible, I would say. Basically flat. Look at gold come down here ahead of the opening bell. I think the PPI first reaction was wrong. You think we're going to rebound here from it? Why do you think the market wants higher PPI data? Or why do you think the market is going to buy up higher PPI data? I think it's going to reduce the odds of rate cuts. But it looks like we're still pretty stubborn with rates. Like, they haven't really changed much now. Here's the problem, though. Somebody says, who's buying all-time highs? Is it the president's money? Listen. Most of the time, we're going to break all-time highs and continue up. Again, there's a variance for sure. Generally speaking, the way the market behaves is that it's going to go up long-term. When you zoom out over decades, it's going up, almost certainly. Short-term, you never know what's going to happen. We might go up, we might go down. You don't know. Long-term, market's going up. Blue chips, indices, they're going to move up over time most of the time. And so people who bet against the market long-term, again, I've said it once, I'll say it again, that's the biggest sucker bet you could ever make. You're betting against the biggest statistical edge the market and finance ever gives you, which is that over a long period of time, the NASDAQ and the S&P and the Dow, maybe the Russell, I don't like the Russell as much, but maybe, are going to go up. And I don't ever bet against that. And so why is the market going up after all-time highs? Because that's how the market generally behaves, you know? Like, the longer you hold a short position in the NASDAQ and the S&P, the less likely you are to make money. The longer you hold a long position in the S&P and the NASDAQ, the more likely you are to make money, especially if we're talking 5, 10, 15 years. Now, sure, you could get some bad economic event or recession or crash. And if you isolate a couple years in there, like, what about this period of time? Sure. In general, though, you know, people like to ignore the word general a lot. I'm like, hey, most of the time, if you hold the NASDAQ and the S&P long term, you're going to make money. Well, what about this super specific isolated incident that happened 30 years ago? Yeah, sure. But generally is the key word, guys. It's all love. Uh, all right, we got the opening bell in less than 2 minutes. All right, guys, here we go. We got a minute left. NASDAQ sideways, but it is kind of rebounding back up some. Yeah, it looks like we had a pretty big stream, dude. We had over 3,000 people here during PPI. Which is kind of a crazy big stream. It looks like people, my guess is that some people are starting to go back to school. Summer, we always see like a slowdown. But it looks like people are starting to get back to the market here. We got 40 seconds left, 40 seconds left. I appreciate you guys, though. Thank you guys so much. I try to be neutral, and I am neutral, honestly, on a lot of stuff. But, I'm not really in Houston, though. I don't live in Houston. I lived there for 10 years or so, but I'm out of there now. I live in the Woodlands, Texas now. Much nicer. Suburbs, basically, is where I'm at. All right, we got 10 seconds. All right, there's the bell. Let's see what happens. Let's day trade as well. Again, check out Top Step. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, Gold. Get you around the PDT rule. They give you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month. You pass their test. You got to make 3K in profit without losing 2K first. Following their rules, you do it. They fund you 50K, 90% split, and they pay out millions, fund thousands. If you fail, you lose 50 bucks. It's not the end of the world. It's a great way to learn. Most day traders lose. I'll put the link up. This is only my second plug in 3 hours today, so there's the link if you want to check it out. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. NASDAQ's filling the gap on the upside here, though. Look at the NASDAQ push. Let's see if it holds. I got to wait at least 3 to 4 minutes to day trade. I got to wait at least 3 or 4 minutes before I start day trading markets or buying up swing trades or investing or whatever. I got to let the volatility from the opening bell settle down some. I'm from Louisiana, but I don't live there. All right, we're still kind of stagnant at the opening bell. Nvidia is chopped sideways. We got like a big doji candle. Now we're essentially sideways. Bond yields still increasing here. The yields are still up to 4.26%. Gold is still moving down some here, but starting to fill this gap. Watch the 200 exponential up here at like 894s right now. We also have 23.9 that might influence things. 23.9 on the NASDAQ. If we put the SPY up here, I would watch like 640. 375, 643 even maybe here. Nvidia rebounding, that's what's driving this push too. Alright, so now we're up to almost 23.9s. You get Nvidia hit 181s. Let's watch that. Gold starting to push up. SPY at 640, 250. Very kind of quiet open though after this data here. We didn't really dump down or rip up. It's still kind of quiet. We're up a little bit for sure. We're filling the gap a little bit here, but it's not big movements. Nvidia's actually rebounding some though. Nvidia's up like 0.5%. buy gold. And there's an argument for it for sure from PPI inflation data. I'm not sure if you should, but there's an argument for it. How do people hedge against inflation? Gold. Is it time to buy the dip? Looking at our poll here, we asked people what the market does. 37% still say we pause rates next month. I don't know about that. I think it depends on what Powell says. I don't think we pause. I think we cut 25 and that's it. We don't end QT. We continue QT for balance and then we pause. And then we cut 25 basis points is what I think will happen. But it's always subject to change. PPI showed higher inflation. How do people hedge against higher inflation? They buy gold. Gold's actually down from it though. So again, there's always variance. You never know how markets are going to react. Nvidia is actually decreasing some too here. We're about 5 minutes into the day. I'm going to start trading now. Slowly. All right, that's a big surge up here. Look at that. I'm gonna short this level real quick. Maybe add a little bit too right here. We honestly just ripped over that 200 exponential. I'll cut it tight. We're green on the day. I'm gonna use a risk of about 925s or so here, I think. Give us some time to work. Looks like we want to go higher though. Nvidia's rebounding too. We gotta watch that. We're over the 200 exponential. We're over 23.9. I would be shocked if the market pushes up this much on high inflation data. But again, you never know this market. Right, so Nvidia is coming back up. What other blue chips are running? Hold on. Is it Meta? No, Microsoft. Oh, it's Nvidia. AMD. Microchips. All right, so Pantheon Macronomics says combining PPI data with Tuesday CPI numbers, we estimate that the core PCE deflator increased by 0.26% in July, lifting the inflation rate to 2.9% from 2.8% in June. Interesting. And again, I'm trying to be patient here. My risk is 925s. Taking longer term trades now. But we've essentially filled a lot of this gap on the upside. I'm gonna reduce my size 1 micro contract right here. And now we're basically flat on the day. Just because I don't want to bet too much against strength when we're showing strength at the open. I do want to see if Nvidia rejects this 200 exponential though, but now we can be a little bit loose. Here's my risk level up here. Is what I'm looking at. Yeah, Amazon's ripping up. I'm in Amazon as well right now. Actually, I'm gonna take a little bit off of Amazon here. I think look, we bought Amazon at 212, so it's at 230s right now. That's a very large percentage gain in a week. I think I should probably unload a little bit, which I just did. Nvidia's still looking strong too. And again, I wanted to establish a short position to see if we turned, if like a first move is the wrong move situation here. And I still think it could play out that way, but I wanted to reduce my size back to kind of break even on the day, just because if it doesn't happen, I don't want to get caught. But we'll see. I think we could also bounce at this 900 level too. And so if that happens, it can make it hard to make money on the short side, of course. And that's exactly where we just bounced. Right here at this level that we have. Here's the 200 EMA too. So we're over the 200 exponential. We're over that 900 level. The good news is that if we turn to the downside, we can really start squeezing down from all the bulls getting trapped. So. How can I do that bright color when I respond to somebody? You mean the donation box? You can @ somebody, so if you @ and type somebody's name, you can respond to them. All right, Nvidia at 181s. Okay, we haven't really moved in the last 5 minutes. What catalyst is there for the reversal to the upside? I really don't know. I think markets are just optimistic, basically. I think it's resilient markets, all-time highs. Being so close makes people want to buy more. Gold and silver, I don't know. Gold's been uptrending for like a decade. It's not really my favorite time to buy gold long-term. But I also think like if you DCA into gold long term, meaning like 10, 20, 30 years, you're almost certainly going to make money doing it. But short term, you never know. And it's been uptrending for a decade now at this point. Made some crazy gain. All right, so we're now green here. And now we're back slightly red. We got retail sales data now too. Yeah, we're almost to my stop loss level. Again, then we just tapped 925s, which is my stop. I'm gonna hold it through it though. Nvidia is what's driving this run. If we get stopped out, we'll be down like very small amount, like 30 or 40 bucks. This is a little entry position. I'm trying to wait for some of this to settle, but keep ripping up here. Again though, I could imagine like even if I do get stopped out, I think there's a chance we go up and then we just turn. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Down. Squeeze down, just to clarify. Alright, so it looks like my 925 stop loss level was a pretty solid little spot for it. Remember, we got retail sales data tomorrow. Nvidia's still just pumping though, man. This is driving things higher. Get Nvidia. Nvidia now technically green on the day. So is AMD. Both of these opened red. Apple's starting to turn red. Get NVIDIA strength here, though. Wow, microchips. Treasury Secretary Bassett says the U.S. government is not going to be buying Bitcoin, that they're going to be using basically confiscated ones. Gotta love the U.S. government. Market's very stagnant here, to be honest. All right, so we're flat now in this position here. I don't know what we're gonna get though, but I'm sitting in my position here. Now we're right back up. Don't you hate it when your entry acts as support? Again, NVIDIA still pushes higher here. This is what it is. Almost got stopped out. That is ripping up too, though. Quantum stocks are still down. Is it time to buy the dip in some of these quantum stocks names? What do you guys think? Yeah, I gotta cut it right there. Oh no, I just added to it. I didn't want to do that. A mistake. Oh. I'm gonna cut half of it right there. Weird fill on the rest though, but that's all right. I'll let this one roll. We're actually green in this one. I didn't mean to add to it, but I'll take it. Sometimes lucky is better than good. Yeah, this has to do with NVIDIA. Maybe NVIDIA's slowing down some finally. Alright, I'll take this, I guess. Back to kind of flat on the day now. Guys, we have not really moved in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes of basically nothing going on. At this point, I don't even care if I get stopped out as long as we move a little bit. It's a very small position now. All right. Oh my gosh, I did it again, dude. I don't know why. I think I'm so used to longing right now. I gotta cut this here. I'm just gonna get out. All right, so we're down a little bit on the day. Not a huge amount, but we'll wait. NVIDIA just bounced at that previous closing price too. Weird. How you guys doing today? Y'all red or green so far? We're down a little bit since the opening bell, but we traded small there. Still filling the gap to the upside. We're almost right back up to where we were prior to PPI data. I think it's completely nonsensical, but sometimes that's how the market behaves. We're up on super high inflation, reduced odds of rate cuts. I don't know, man. Green. Maybe Pawn sent me some news. Let me see what the news, breaking news just showed up as. Oh, yeah, I got you, Pawn. Yeah, I got that already. I appreciate the subs today, though, guys. Thanks so much. All right, so we're starting to push up here. Watch 950 up here. 950 is a level that we played earlier. I still gotta wait, I think, but kind of creeping up. Video on another tear though. So is Meta. Meta's up a lot too. It's almost at highs of the day for Meta. Have a look at yields. Yeah, I mean they're spiking, of course. I mean yields are gonna be up right now. Here's yields. Yields are gonna be higher. Yields and interest rates, especially mortgages, follow each other. And so if we have a higher interest rate sentiment because of higher inflation, yields are going to be going up. That's pretty predictable. The weird thing is that the market's going up too. Yeah, Nvidia's ripping up as well right here. Up to pre-market highs, just broke it really. It's pulling back down at 182s. See what happens. Still rip it up. Look at this. Tap that 50 level here. See what we do. Go over it. Market's just maybe shorts are getting squeezed out is what this possibly is. Shorts could be getting squeezed out. It's just odd. It is odd. All right, we're right at that 850 level, or that 950 level, I mean. If we can push in higher though, we are hitting like a bunch of big levels here on the NQ. 965 is one maybe. If Nvidia starts to fall down some now, slow down a little bit. Tech is flying up on this news though. I guess shows some strength. Google's taking 8% stake in Bitcoin mined TeraWolf as part of a $3.7 billion deal. Quantum stock's rebounding back up a little bit too here. Where's all-time highs in the NASDAQ? All-time highs in the NQ are now up to 2470 or so. 2470 on the NQ. So we still got a long ways for that, but maybe the market wants it today. I don't know. All right, look, here's a big retracement back down here. Here's 950 though. This could be a support level. Let's see. Oh. All right, so we're short now in one of our other accounts. Here, I'll put this trade up. We're up about 58 ticks at this point in time. I'm going to take a little bit more up. We're up about $400 in this account on the day, which is good. We'll probably hold this break even now, I think. If we get a bigger turnaround here, catching a short. We can just get bought up, but again, we're going to hold this break even now because we can. We're up deep enough in profit to where we're already up about $400 on the day on this account. And the remaining, we're up about $30 or $40. And so, yeah. We can hold it break even, risk free. Try to let it work some. That's what I said. When it does turn, it might turn big. So I established kind of a position in this, but there we go. Nice. Take a little bit more off there. Let the rest ride. There we go. I'm gonna cut it right there. Yeah, we're up $499.20 in this account today. Show you some of the trades. Pretty solid. I want to get out here around this 200 exponential around 23.9. If we are going to bounce, I think that's a logical bounce area. This is, yeah. Alright guys, how you guys doing? We're green on the day. We're down in one of our funded accounts. We're down $70. The other one we're down the other one we're up 500. So we're certainly net green. I'll take it. Green is good. I've been trying to take longer term, more patient positions here instead of just necessarily scalping. I think I have, like, again, I've been on Top Step TV a few times and my results have just been very good, especially in Power Hour. Like Power Hour, I'm like 6 for 6, 7 for 7. And so after that last showing on Power Hour a few days ago, where I had another really nice green trade, I'm going to start taking longer term positions. I think I could use my levels to play this too. Like look at 23.9, right? Like this is where I wanted to get out because I thought there's a high chance of a bounce here. And look at 23.9 right here. You know? And so I think I could use my levels to kind of reinforce that, if that makes sense. A nice drop. Oh, you're kind of joking, MC. Like I said, sometimes I trade off stream and lose. It doesn't matter. I mean, listen, guys. I'm not one of these people that tries to act like I'm some genius expert. I mean, I definitely am. But I'm not going to tell you guys that, you know. And of course, there's sarcasm in what I'm saying. Don't get too mad at me. But I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about. Sometimes I trade off stream and lose, and you might not see it. I don't even claim to be a good trader. I don't sell a course. I don't sell my own service. I don't sell anything really on my end. I don't have any paywalls behind content. Like, we just cover economics, markets, finance. We try to give people a free resource. Like, even, you can become a member of my channel, but it doesn't actually get you anything extra. Except for these coveted emojis here. We got Beardless John. But outside of that, I don't want any paywalls behind my content. You know, I just want it all to be free. So subscribe. Do it now. Try it one time. Hey, what's up, Ace? All right, Nvidia coming back up here too. The 200 exponential is so influential in terms of indicators. Like, people like to use the 9. I don't understand it. Like, even the volume weighted average price, I think, like, look at this. I've made a couple videos about this, but when something goes around the VWAP and the 200 EMA, a lot of the time they can either bounce big, or if they really drop quick, obviously you can have some larger breakdowns. But I just think when these two levels are close, they have more influence. More people are buying it. Some people are buying the 200 EMA, some people are buying the VWAP here. And so you get, like, at least somewhat of a bounce here too. And then the same thing if you look at where the 200 exponential is here, right there. So I think the market just respects it. I think so many traders are watching. I think short term, they're too spread out. You got the 9 and the 12 and the 15, 18 and the 20 and the EMA and the SMA and all that stuff. So you got it's too spread out to get consolidated interest. But the 200 exponential, a lot of people are watching that. So I think it just holds more sway, especially on 1-minute charts. All right, chat. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we rebound here? Or do you guys think we turn? Yeah, president speaking at 1 o'clock. I don't know what he's gonna say. Amazon's still ripping up though. Feel a little uneasy about how markets convinced rate cuts coming in September. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think I'm surprised the odds for rate cuts based off of PPI data didn't change more to the pause hawkish side. I'm surprised because I thought that PPI data was bad. It was not good at all. Now I'm actually kind of a proponent of rate cuts. Like I want rate cuts. I want 25 basis point cut. I want balance is what I want. And I think even more than rate cuts, you could certainly argue ending QT, especially for mortgages if you want to bring mortgage rates down a little bit. But I think this PPI data is bad. It's not good. It's high. Yeah, Max, I think you might be a little delayed on stream, brother, if you're still talking about Texas property taxes. It's all good. Hit the live button next to the play button, Max. You might be delayed. Yeah, no, I think he's going to be hawkish too. And that's why I'm saying the Jackson Hole Symposium next Friday is going to be the biggest macroeconomic catalyst next week. Setup, you think they're going to cut next month? I'm surprised the odds didn't change. It's weird. They didn't change that much, man. And now the market's just kind of, I mean, we filled the gap. Now we're right at the edge of it. All right, guys. If you want to check out Top Step, beautiful way to help support the channel. Again, no PDT in futures. I'm up about 500 on my funded account today. You love to see it. Remember, guys, markets are volatile. Most day traders lose money, including at Top Step. But most day traders lose. And so does it make any sense to fund your first account day trading 5, 10, 20, 30 grand? Especially the PDT rule makes absolutely no sense. You're probably just going to lose a large chunk of that. Let's just be real here. Why would you risk that? Instead, try Top Step. It's $50 a month. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. If you fail it, you lose $50. The best of both worlds. Try it out. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, though, because I get paid by them. Top 3 most bias ever. But if you want to check it out, I'll put the link up one more time. I'm gonna get out of here. Listen, I'm up $500. I'm gonna cut the day off here, and we'll see what the president says at 1 o'clock. Remember, the president speaks 1 o'clock at the Oval Office. It might cause volatility. Technically, it's a. Hey, thank you, Rusty, for the donation, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the donation, bro. But no, technically, it's supposed to be about the anniversary of Social Security, as well as he might comment on DC. He also might comment on foreign policy. Let's see if he mentions today's inflation. See if he mentions it at all. Yeah. Hey, y'all be good. Have a safe day. Be safe. Market's kind of sideways and choppy right now. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Again, remember all this stuff on screen, guys. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Understand all this stuff. I can't guarantee anything here, chat. So understand all this stuff on screen, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Give me a follow on X at Beginner Trades. At Beginner Trades. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good.